I see the news. I see the cities burning. And I remember a time before any of this. Before the world even knew his name. You see, before he was a weapon, before he was a monster, he was mine. And I think it's time you knew how it all happened.
And it's true, it really is. It all started so small, so innocent. Before anyone saw him as this unstoppable force of nature, I just saw a tiny little thing splashing around in my kitchen sink, trying to figure out which way was up.
I mean, he was so small when I found him, barely 4 inches long. His teeth and his claws felt like little pinpricks, and the spikes running down his back, they were actually soft. He was the most harmless creature you could ever imagine. I could hold his entire world, literally, in the palm of my hand.
Oh, those first days were so simple. I got him a tank, half water, half land, and I even built him this little cave so he could have some privacy. I'd feed him the tiniest foods, little pieces of pancakes and berries, and he was just so curious, so friendly. He'd let me pet him right on the head. He even seemed to get along with my dog and cat. He was just a part of the family. And he was growing.
He grew way faster than I ever thought possible. Pretty soon, the tank was just not gonna work. So we started going outside. We'd go to the park, and then I took him to the beach for his first real swim in the ocean. And I will never forget watching him out there, paddling around. He even made friends with a sea turtle. He just seemed so happy, so at home in the world.
The thing is, you can't. You just can't. He kept getting bigger and bigger. What used to be his little bed became a human-sized one. His meals got bigger. And my home, which I thought was this huge world for him, it started to feel more and more like a cage. And that just wasn't fair to him.
It was, without a doubt, the hardest thing I have ever had to do. But I just knew he needed more space to live a full, happy life. I kept telling myself it was an act of love. He deserved a world much bigger than anything I could ever give him.
And at first, it really seemed like I'd made the right call. He was a sensation. People would line up for hours just to get a glimpse of him swimming. But even right from the start, I could see something wasn't right. The attention, it wasn't the kind of attention he was used to.
That sense of wonder just faded so fast. For him, the constant noise, the endless sea of faces, it was a prison made of eyes. He had no privacy, nowhere to go to just be quiet. I know he missed the peace of our home, the feeling of a familiar hand. He wasn't a friend anymore. He was just a specter.
All day, every day. Hundreds of faces, just staring, always watching him. Never a moment's peace.
It was just constant torment. The tapping on the glass, it never stopped. They were demanding a show from someone who never wanted to be in one. He wasn't a living being to them anymore. He was just entertainment.
They forgot he had feelings. They forgot he needed quiet. He was completely, terribly alone, even when surrounded by all those strangers.
And you can only push a living thing so far. After days and days of being stared at, isolated, just sick with loneliness, something inside him just snapped. It had enough.
So he roared. He banged on the glass. And the zoo's response? It was so swift and so cruel. They labeled him a threat, and they moved him to this tiny, filthy enclosure way out back, right next to a garbage dump. It wasn't a home, it was a cell.
They just stopped caring. They even forgot to feed him. He started eating garbage just to survive. I can just picture him there, calling out every night with nobody answering. That loneliness, that utter neglect, it filled him with a rage I had never seen before. A rage that became a new kind of power. And he blasted his way out of there with pure atomic energy. He tore through that zoo like a force of pure vengeance. He ran to the only place he ever felt truly free, the beach. But this time, the world was waiting for him. The military was there, and to them, he wasn't a wonder anymore. He was just a monster that needed to be put down.
So they locked him in another cage, a military one this time. Scientists just poked and prodded him, studying him like he was some kind of object. They decided he was way too powerful to just keep locked up. So they did something worse. They turned him into a weapon, fitting him with this giant shock collar, strapping armor to his body. They took control of him.
They sent him to war. All that anger, all that power, they honed it and they aimed it. He destroyed everything they pointed him at just like they wanted. He became the very thing they feared, and now he was their puppet.
The enemy, they had no other choice.
To stop the unstoppable weapon the military had built, they did the unthinkable. They dropped nuclear bombs right on top of him.
All
But they
units,
made
the target
a
is still
terrible,
active. I repeat,
terrible
it's
mistake.
unharmed.
The radiation
Commander,
didn't kill
Godzilla
him.
is active and
It
ready
did the
for
opposite.
deployment.
It supercharged
Initiate
him. It made
advance
him
on the
bigger,
primary target
stronger.
line.
The
Clear the
blast
sector.
destroyed that shot caller, and for the first time in a very long time, he was free. And he was angrier than he had ever been.
I try so hard to remember the creature I raised, the one who loved pancakes, who swam with turtles, who leaned into my hand when I petted him. It's really hard to see that creature inside the raging, radioactive giant the world sees now. A monster armed with weapons and fueled by their own fear.
So now, when I watch the news, when I see the ruins, I just ask myself the same question over and over again. Did I create a monster? Or did the world take the gentle soul I knew and forge him into one?